I was bound to a system. The system, your mission is to raise your brother's affection level. I scoffed. I was the most pampered young master of the Ashworth family, the apple of my brother's eye. This mission would be a piece of cake, and then I saw the affection meter above my brother's head. 99, Chapter 1. There was a sound from the entryway. A man's figure appeared in the light. He was wearing a custom-tailored suit, the expensive fabric clinging to his excellent physique. His black hair, slicked back, had a few strands falling over his forehead, brushing against his deep-set eyes and exuding the charm of a mature man. Bathed in the light, he was a sight to behold. I stared intently at the scarlet number above Adrian Ashworth's head, 99. I subconsciously bit my lip and spoke. Adrian. Adrian Ashworth looked up, taking off his jacket. His tone was gentle, like an indulgent older brother. Didn't you go out with your friends today, Jules? I walked over, reaching out to take his jacket, but Adrian subtly avoided my hand. The next second, the number flickered. 100. My pupils contracted. I helplessly pulled my hand back. I caught a faint scent of alcohol. Forcing myself to change the subject, I said, Adrian, have you been drinking? I made you some hot soup to help you sober up. Adrian raised an eyebrow, a flash of cold surprise in his eyes. It vanished as quickly as it appeared. He smiled. Thanks, Jules, just leave it there. I'll drink it later. Pushing the porcelain bowl in front of him, I said woodenly, well, make sure you drink it. I'm going to bed. Adrian nodded with a smile. I turned and went upstairs. My steps were slow. I paused on the last stair. I peeked out quietly. I saw it. That bowl of soup was poured down the sink. Not a single drop was left. My hand on the banister tightened abruptly. I returned to my room devastated. The system's voice sounded, do you believe it now? I made a last-ditch effort. But Adrian has always been so good to me. He gives me anything I want, cleans up my messes, and gets me a birthday gift every year. The system said, your brother has an assistant. He has the assistant buy what you want and clean up your messes. Think about it, when has he ever handled anything himself? He doesn't even remember when your birthday is. I buried my face in my knees, my voice dry. Does 100 mean he really hates me? The system's voice suddenly turned cold and sorrowful. Not hate, it's disgust. Chapter 2. Adrian and I are from a blended family. We're not blood brothers. My mother was Charles Ashworth's first love. After Adrian's mother passed away, my mom married into the Ashworth family, bringing 6-year-old me with her. My new father, Charles, doted on me as an extension of his love for her. He even had my last name changed to Ashworth. With Adrian, however, he was strict, showing little affection. So I grew up with a bit of a spoiled brat's temper. Later, under my brother's indulgence, I became even more arrogant. After my mother died from her illness, Charles's health deteriorated. Eventually, it was just Adrian and me. As I saw it, we were brothers who had grown up together, keeping each other company. But from Adrian's perspective, it was a completely different story. Adrian's mother died of depression due to her husband's indifference. Less than a year after her death, his father married the woman he'd always longed for, and she brought a tag along with her. This woman had stolen his mother's husband. This child then stole his father. Thinking about it that way, how could Adrian possibly like me as his brother? The reason he didn't just kick me out was because Charles left me 11 of the shares in the Ashworth family business. Adrian chose a bloodless method, spoiling me rotten. He always indulged me, never disciplined me. When I got into fights, he always cleaned up the mess without a word of reprimand. When I drank, street raced, and stayed out all night, he never tried to stop me. He was turning me into a good-for-nothing playboy. It was both revenge and a way to seize my inheritance. I rubbed the corners of my gritty eyes. What will happen if I can't gain Adrian's affection? The system's voice grew even colder. He'll destroy you. Chapter 3. The next morning, I came downstairs looking listless. Adrian was already dressed impeccably, sitting at the dining table. I looked at the glaring 100 above his head. An inexplicable fear washed over me. I silently sat down at the spot farthest from him. My mind was elsewhere. Adrian put down his coffee cup and said, "Why aren't you eating? If you don't like it, we can have something else tomorrow." It was true that I used to be picky and willful. I'd have the chef replaced every other day. I quickly swallowed the toast in my hand and forced a stiff smile. No, it's not that I don't like it. Looking at the lavish spread of breakfast options before me, I shouldn't be so extravagant from now on. I spoke up, "Adrian, you don't have to prepare breakfast for me anymore. I'll just eat at the campus dining hall from now on." Adrian raised an eyebrow, feigning concern. Why the sudden interest in the dining hall? Didn't you say the food there wasn't fit for a dog? I choked. That did sound exactly like something I would say. I had to make something up. They got a new chef at the dining hall. It's actually pretty good now. After breakfast, Adrian went to work and I went to school. Chapter 4. When I got to school, my best friend Kieran Quillen looked at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Well, look what the cat dragged in. The young Master Ashworth is actually on time for class. I wasn't in the mood to joke around and walked right past him. Kieran casually pulled out the chair next to me. What's with the long face? There's a new bar that opened on the west side with a lot of cool new stuff. I'll take you out tonight to have some fun. Skipping class, hanging out at bars. Playing video games, late-night street racing. That was basically my life. This hedonistic lifestyle becomes a habit, a gradual slide for both body and mind. Kieran knew all the best spots and how to have fun. We were partners in crime. To be honest, I was tempted. My emotions had been all over the place these past few days, and I wanted to drown my sorrows in alcohol. The system's voice suddenly cut in. Kieran works for your brother. I yanked an almost brand new textbook from my desk and slammed it on the table. I'm going to study Chapter 5. I managed to sit through a full day of classes. My head was spinning. I slipped away before Kieran could stop me. Late at night, I was hiding at the top of the stairs. Adrian seemed drunk. He was leaning against the wall in the entryway and hadn't moved for a long time. I had never seen Adrian drunk before. He was always so calm and self-possessed, rarely losing his composure. The system urged me on. Go on, this is your chance. I was scared. Even Kieran was one of Adrian's people. I was terrified of Adrian's scheming, but the sight of him slumped in the entryway was too jarring to ignore. I wiped my face. Getting up, I walked over and gently shook his sleeve. Adrian, wake up. You'll catch a cold sleeping here. The moment I finished speaking, smack my hand was slapped away forcefully. The back of my pale hand instantly turned red. Adrian's eyes snapped open. The alcohol seemed to have temporarily stripped away his facade. He looked at my face and snarled, "Get lost." The naked disgust in his eyes was like a cold blade twisting in my heart. It clenched violently. Tears instantly streamed down my face. A tangle of hurt, bitterness, and fear churned inside me. I took a deep breath. I wiped away the tears with the back of my hand. Gritting my teeth, I struggled to drag him into a room. His nearly 6'3" frame almost crushed the life out of me. I managed to pull him into the guest room downstairs. As I entered, my legs trembled, and I stumbled hard against the doorframe. The pain shot through me, sharp and shocking. Adrian's hair was disheveled, giving him a more casual look, but his brow was furrowed, as if he was in discomfort. I took off his jacket, shoes, and socks. After giving him a quick wipe down with a towel, I covered him with a blanket. Then I limped out of the room. I returned with a pitcher of water, a glass, and everything I could find in the medicine cabinet: sobriety pills, stomach medicine, digestive aids. I piled them all on the nightstand. Then I limped away again. After I gently closed the door, the man who was supposed to be asleep opened his eyes. They were clear, all traces of drunkenness gone. Chapter 6. Adrian's birthday was in 3 days, a long time ago. I had prepared a gift for him. A rare, out-of-print game card. It took a huge effort to get it. Now, I no longer had the courage to give it to him, and I didn't want it to become just another tool to curry favor. I tucked it into the most hidden corner of my bookshelf. The system said faintly, "It's better not to give it, it would just end up in the trash anyway." The drunk Adrian was the real him. That cold, disgusted look made it hard for me to breathe every time I thought of it. I heard myself ask the system calmly, if I stop trying to raise his affection level, give him back the Ashworth family shares, and leave, will he still try to destroy me? The system was silent. A barely audible sigh followed. In half a month, Adrian will be in danger during his ski trip up north. You just have to save him. Chapter 7. Adrian was an avid skier. Every winter, he would take time off to vacation in the north. Influenced by him, I had also practiced hard for a while and was quite good. But I had never gone with him. This time, I shamelessly begged him, "Adrian, please take me with you. I'll be good, I won't cause any trouble." Adrian lowered his cold eyes. He nodded with a resigned smile, but I knew he wasn't happy. I smiled bitterly to myself. The affection level dropped again. Chapter 8. We were at the most famous ski resort in the north. I stuck to Adrian like glue. Wherever he went, I followed. The whole time, I was as quiet as a mouse, afraid of annoying him. When he went up the mountain to ski, I waited in the SUV. There, we ran into Adrian's university classmate and business partner, Connor Carter. The two of them hit it off immediately, arranging to meet at Eagle's Peak. It was an off-piste trail, very challenging. Adrian and Connor got their gear and exited the vehicle. Both were tall and handsome, looking particularly striking in their ski gear, and I remained in the car. Connor glanced at the SUV behind them and teased. "Is that your wastrel little brother? He doesn't seem like the rumors say. He looks quite well behaved, though very clingy." Adrian zipped up his jacket and turned his head slightly. His gaze passed through the car window. The boy was sitting obediently in the back seat. A red beanie revealed half of his pale face. His cheeks were puffed out as he blew on the hot cocoa in his hands, looking like a soft, harmless little animal. Adrian paused, his expression dark and unreadable. Then he strode away. Connor chased after him from behind. "Hey, wait for me." Chapter 9. I drank the sweet hot cocoa. "Is it today?" I asked the system. I asked this question every day, but the system's answer was always the same, not sure. "Wait, fine." That's why I had been following Adrian everywhere these past few days. According to the information from the system, Adrian's rescue was severely delayed due to a malfunction in his positioning device, and he had a close brush with death. So I had already made thorough preparations to ensure the rescue team could arrive as soon as possible. By the time I slowly finished my hot cocoa, outside the weather had turned. Chapter 10. A sea of white stretched before me. The world was reduced to a blinding milky white, devoid of all shadows and contours. Following the system's directions, I trudged forward. The whiteout blizzard stung my cheeks. The weather was even worse than I had imagined. My goggles kept fogging up. Adrian was nearby, but I couldn't find him no matter how hard I looked. Time ticked by. In a panic, I took off my goggles. Finally, I spotted an inconspicuous speck of blue. I battled through the wind and snow, moving towards it. I dug Adrian out of the snow. "Adrian, wake up," I shouted. He was already unconscious from hypothermia. His face was so pale it was bloodless. Panic seized me. With trembling hands, I brushed the snow off him and wrapped him in an emergency blanket. I unzipped my own ski jacket and tucked his icy hands under my armpits. "Adrian, wake up, can you hear me?" The moment the weather turned, I had called for rescue. But because of the terrible conditions, they were slower to arrive than I'd hoped. I couldn't wait any longer. I gritted my teeth, grabbed my gear, and headed up the mountain myself. Looking at the motionless Adrian, a sharp pain stung my eyes. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I regretted it. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it. I should have stopped him from the beginning. I shouldn't have let this happen just to raise some stupid affection level. I'm just a selfish, terrible person. No wonder you're disgusted by me. Why couldn't I warm his hands? I was so scared I could barely breathe. I hunched over in distress. Draped over Adrian, my face was a mess of tears. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault." Sob, "I'm sorry." "Adrian, wake up, I'm scared." "Please." Just before my vision blurred completely, I saw the rescue vehicle. Chapter 11. Bandages covered my eyes. It was uncomfortable. I subconsciously tried to rub them. My wrist was caught by a large hand, a warm, solid touch. A deep voice spoke, "Don't touch." A slightly rough fingertip brushed the end of my eyebrow. I flinched away. I heard Adrian ask again, "Does it still hurt?" I pulled my hand back and shook my head. I heard the sound of a chair being pulled. Adrian sat down by the bed. The sound of a keyboard started up. He was probably working. He seemed very focused when he worked, only speaking up from time to time. "Do you want some water? Are you hungry?" I leaned against the headboard, afraid to disturb him, quietly fiddling with my fingers. The phone rang. It sounded like Adrian stood up. A dry palm rested on the top of my head, ruffling my hair gently. I heard him say, "I'm going to take this call. Call me if you need anything." With that, his footsteps faded away. I froze, scratching my head anxiously. Adrian had to stay in the hospital room with me for so long. He'd had to touch me so many times to take care of me. His affection level dropped just from me trying to take his jacket. What kind of catastrophic number must it be now? I hurriedly asked the system, "System, what's the number now?" The system snorted. "Wait until you're better and see for yourself." I'm doomed. My anxiety skyrocketed. Chapter 12. When I was discharged from the hospital, Connor Carter made a special trip to see me. Like a good-tempered older brother, he put his arm around my shoulders. "Good job, Jules. We owe you big time for this one. I'll treat you to dinner when we get back." I blinked. It was the first time someone had praised me like that. I wasn't used to it. A faint blush crept up my cheeks. I felt a little shy. "Okay, thanks, Connor." Connor ruffled my hair. "Aw, you're so sweet." I couldn't help but think, This must be how normal brothers act with each other. Standing in front of the car, a cold curve formed on Adrian's lips. His voice dropped several degrees. "Jules, come here." In the car, Adrian took a pair of sunglasses from the glove compartment and handed them to me. "Put these on. The afternoon sun can be harsh." I buried the lower half of my face in my collar, using the sunglasses as cover. I snuck glances at Adrian. He was wearing a dark gray casual outfit, his eyes focused on the road ahead. His profile was clean and sharp. My gaze shifted upward. Chapter 13. After returning from the ski trip. No matter what I did, Adrian's affection level never changed. It didn't increase, but thankfully it didn't decrease either. I asked the system again, what does an affection level of 0 mean? System. Even a stranger would have an affection level of 10 for a stray dog on the street. The system sounded completely unmotivated. At least it's not negative. It's not like you can eat it or spend it. You'd be better off getting a few more points on your exams so you don't embarrass me. I buried myself in my books, finally getting a taste of how hard studying could be. Since distancing myself from Kieran and focusing in class, my relationship with my classmates had improved. After the evening study session, a group of guys gathered around a roasted sweet potato cart by the school gate. I broke open a soft, caramelized sweet potato. Then I heard a classmate next to me shout excitedly, "It's snowing." I looked up. Flurries filled the sky. Snow in the south is a rare treat. The boys bumped into each other, laughing together in front of the old sweet potato cart. Through the steam rising from the potato, I saw Adrian. The streetlight cast a warm, amber glow. Snowflakes drifted like fireflies. A tall figure stood at the boundary between light and shadow. I ran over, a puff of white mist escaping my lips. "Adrian, what are you doing here?" On impulse, I held up the roasted sweet potato in my hand. "Want some?" The moment I said it, I realized I had done something unnecessary again. As I was about to pull my hand back, I saw Adrian lower his head and take a bite. A shadow fell across his brow bones, and the corner of his mouth tilted up slightly. "I was just in the area, so I came to pick you up." He then took the backpack slung over my shoulder. I followed behind him. I saw the string of red numbers flicker. It was still 0. I stuffed my mouth with sweet potato. I don't know what I was hoping for. Chapter 14. Adrian only returned to the old family estate during the new year. Because of the shares Charles had left me, some of our relatives there held a grudge against me. After I grew up, I never went back. Thinking about previous years, I was never short of fair-weather friends. I'd never been alone. I peeked my head out eagerly. Someone was setting off fireworks in the yard next door. The system suddenly said, "Want to play some games?" My eyes lit up, my fingers twitching. "Can I?" System, just for today. In the SSS VIP private booth at the largest gaming lounge in the West End. Fuck, 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 the system and I yelled in unison. The next second we lost. We lost 16 games in a row. The system cursed. "Useless brat," I rubbed my nose guiltily. "It's been too long, I'm out of practice." I tossed my phone aside. Putting on my headset, I tried to save face. "Let's switch games." Watch me make a comeback. When I stumbled out of the gaming lounge, it was already the middle of the night. Passing by a small convenience store, I saw they were selling firecrackers. I got a little excited. My dad used to play with these with me when I was little. Not Charles, but the father who was a blurry memory. But then my phone died. I traded my watch for a huge pile of them, stuffing them into both my pockets. I found a riverbank and set them all off with a series of pops and bangs. "Awesome," I laughed. I threw my head back and met Adrian's eyes. He was standing on the bank. I had no idea how long he'd been there. He walked quickly towards me. He reached out, grabbed the hood of my down jacket, and pulled the strings tight, bundling up my face. His expression was dark. "Why didn't you answer your phone or reply to my texts? Running around so late at night?" Hearing that faint, almost unreal note of worry and helplessness in his voice, I was stunned for a moment. Belatedly, I patted my pockets and mumbled, "It died. I didn't do it on purpose." Adrian sighed and took my hand. He led me up the bank. "Let's go home. I brought you some sweet soup." A warm sensation spread from my palm. It felt real. I glanced at the glaring 0. I sniffled, my nose red from the cold. I tilted my head up, my moist eyes wide. "It's not real. Don't believe it." Chapter 15. The heat in the car was cranked up high. The warmth in my hands and feet made me drowsy. Adrian opened the passenger door and reached out to catch the boy whose head was nodding off. Half of his palm covered most of my face. His thumb stroked unconsciously. from the corner of my eye, across my flushed cheek, to the corner of my lips. So soft, his fingertip pressed harder. Sensing something strange, the boy obediently opened his mouth. As if bewitched, the fingertip invaded forcefully until it met the tip of that wet, crimson tongue. A soft, uneasy whimper sounded. Adrian squeezed his eyes shut, letting out a heavy breath. Touching the soft cheek, he said gently, "Jules, wake up, we're home. I had a dream. I dreamt that after Charles died when I was little, I was always scared and panicked in the huge mansion. I would cry for Adrian every day, demanding to be held the moment I saw him. Only when I was clinging to him like a koala did I feel safe. I groggily opened my eyes. I smelled that familiar cologne. In a panic, I used all my limbs to cling to him tightly, pressing my entire body against his. I mumbled fearfully, "Adrian, hold me. Why aren't you holding me?" The sudden closeness made Adrian's body freeze for a second. An alluring warmth. One hand slowly cupped the back of the boy's neck, while the other arm tightened abruptly. The boy fell completely into his arms. Not a sliver of space was left between them. He lowered his head, his sharp jawline resting against the boy's soft neck. It sent a paralyzing shiver through him. Chapter 16. It was the last parent-teacher conference before exams. The school took it seriously, sending a notification letter to everyone, even though I had casually tossed it in the trash. Adrian still showed up at my school on time. He was even asked to stay behind by the teacher afterward. I was squatting by a flower bed, bored, and secretly took out my phone to play a game. Soon, a few others gathered around me. Get him, dude, Jules, could you play any more like a bot?" When Adrian came out, the first thing he saw was the person surrounded by a crowd. His head was down, revealing a sliver of his pale neck. Those almond-shaped eyes were bright and round, his face full of focus and concentration. After a round of jeers, his little face deflated. A few strands of black hair fell forward, so pitiful and so cute. Adrian's gaze swept over the hand a classmate had placed on the boy's shoulder. His tongue unconsciously pressed against the inside of his cheek. An eyesore. Chapter 17. Before the exams, I got a bunch of canker sores from stress. My appetite was gone and I felt drained. Adrian tilted my chin up, carefully examining my sores. He frowned as he applied medicine. "A little better than yesterday." Adrian closed the first aid kit and circled my wrist with his fingers. He weighed it in his hand. "You've lost weight. I'll have the housekeeper make you something easy to eat later." I lay listlessly on the sofa. I nodded with a whimper. The study points Adrian had organized for me jumbled together in my head. I was about to doze off. Adrian flipped me over on the sofa, chuckling helplessly. "If you're tired, go take a nap." I dozed for a bit. The housekeeper had already prepared the meal. I slowly went upstairs to call Adrian. My hand was still raised to knock. Fragmented sounds drifted from the slightly ajar door. They slithered into my ears like venomous snakes. "Yes, we can start preparing soon. The shares, nothing else matters." Wait until after his exams. The image of the affection meter that never rose flashed in my mind. My limbs grew cold one by one. Chapter 18. Inside the dazzling private room. It was as loud as dozens of braying donkeys being let loose at once. I pulled out my constantly vibrating phone. A stream of messages and missed calls popped up. "Adrian, let me know when the party's over. I'll come pick you up." "Adrian, you can drink, but not too much, understand?" "Adrian, it's getting late. Is it not over yet?" "Adrian, why aren't you replying?" "Adrian, answer the phone." He didn't even care. He didn't care if I drank, didn't care if I stayed out all night. And he still had to lie to me. I sneered and threw the phone far away. I grabbed a classmate and drank until the world turned upside down. Kieran appeared out of nowhere. His face was pale as he frantically snatched the bottle from my hand and pulled me up from the sofa. "Jules, you've had too much to drink." I'll take you home." The room was spinning. I shoved him away angrily. "Get lost, don't touch me." Why was everything about Adrian? But Kieran was determined, pushing me towards the door. The door opened. I was suddenly pulled into a solid embrace. I struggled to lift my head. Adrian, Chapter 19. Adrian held me in his arms. The cramped back seat was filled with his scent. He brushed the slightly sweaty hair from my forehead, his tone a mixture of anger and forbearance. "You never answer your phone or reply to texts. You just got over your sores and now you're drinking this much. You're going to have a headache tomorrow." I pushed his hand away, my eyes unfocused. "Adrian Ashworth." Adrian grabbed my wrist, unable to resist teasing me. "You're not even calling me brother anymore." "Brother." The word pierced me like a needle, sending pain through my entire body. The The soup poured down the drain, the flash of disgust when he was touched, the zero on the affection meter, the phone call from behind the door. Everything twisted into a sharp blade and plunged into my heart. My throat tightened, unable to draw in air. My chest heaved violently, and a wretched sob escaped my lips. Adrian's expression changed. He acted decisively, cupping the back of my neck and tilting my head up. Jules, deep breaths. After gasping in a couple of breaths, I went limp in Adrian's arms. A faint sound squeezed past my lips. "Don't," Adrian held me tighter, a huge sense of unease rising in his heart. "Jules, what did you say?" "Don't touch." Adrian pressed his ear closer, trying to hear what I was saying. I forced out each word with difficulty. "Don't you touch me." Adrian froze. I began to struggle violently. I left several scratches on Adrian's neck. "I have to get out of here." I scrambled out of Adrian's embrace in a disheveled state. Adrian snapped back to reality. His large body covered mine, pinning my arms and legs, immobilizing me. His brows furrowed deeply as he repeatedly tried to soothe the person in his arms. "Jules, what's wrong?" "It's me. Adrian's here." "Don't be scared." I couldn't move. I couldn't escape. I broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. I fought against the man's proximity, my voice sharp and out of control. "Go away, don't touch me, you're a liar. You've been lying to me this whole time. You hate me, but you still pretend to be a good brother. You poured out the soup I made, threw away the gifts I gave you. Liar, liar." Hearing this, Adrian's body trembled violently. The usually calm and composed man showed a panic he had never revealed before. He instinctively hugged the person in his arms tighter. "It's not like that, Jules. Please let me explain. That was all in the past. It was my fault. I was wrong, but things are different now. How could I hate you? I wish I could keep you by my side every day, see you every moment. You have no idea how panicked I get when I can't find you, or how happy I am when I see you." The boy was crying, heartbroken. A sharp pain of remorse stabbed at Adrian's heart. Yet a sudden, despicable excitement surged through him. His Adam's apple bobbed uncontrollably. He moved closer as he spoke, until his lips were on the boy's reddened eyelid. Greedily, he licked away a falling tear, downward, parting those slightly open lips. In that instant, an electric shock exploded from the tip of his tongue, shooting down his spine, making his whole body tremble and go numb. Inside the quiet car, frantic, messy breaths and urgent, wet sounds, I passively endured it. My consciousness frayed. I whimpered softly, "It hurts." Adrian trembled with excitement, his voice a demonic coaxing. "Where does it hurt? Let me see, okay?" My reaction was slow, but I obediently opened my mouth, revealing the tip of my bitten tongue. The demon smiled. There. Let me kiss it better." Chapter 20. I woke up the next day. My mind was a complete blank. My eyes were so swollen I could only open them a crack. My head hurt and my mouth hurt too. I frantically pinged the system in my mind. "What's going on? What happened? Why did the affection level turn into 3 question marks? The system's tone was grave. "Probably a bug." "Huh, what?" I said urgently. "So what's the affection level now? Did it drop to question marks just because I went drinking yesterday and relapsed into my old ways?" The system asked hesitantly. "You don't remember last night?" "Duh, of course I remembered. I got wasted at the class party, and Kieran brought me home. I remember it crystal clear." I was positive the system was silent. Then it snorted. "It didn't drop, it's perfectly fine." It sounded as if it was speaking through gritted teeth. Chapter 21. Before my mediocre exam results came out. Adrian went on a business trip, abroad for 3 months. Twice a day, like clockwork, there was an international call. "Jules, let me know which university you choose. James Goldsmith will help you with the school's liaison office. I'm sorry I can't be there for your enrollment. You can go out and have fun, but no sleepovers and no drinking, understand?" I nodded in agreement. On the other end of the line, Adrian's breathing was a bit suppressed. His voice took on a more serious tone. "You be good. Wait for me to come back. There are some things we need to talk about." Slowly, after hanging up, I looked at the detailed information for 3 universities on my desk. They were all in the city, not far away. But I didn't plan on applying to any of them. Chapter 22. The new university was in the north, far away, new environment, new friends, and Justin Forrest. He was the youngest associate professor at our university. He was also my biological brother. We hadn't seen each other since my mother took me to marry into the Ashworth family. After our father remarried, he lived with our grandmother. Here, there was no Adrian, no affection meter. Less than a month had passed, but it felt like a lifetime. long enough that I had gotten used to the thin mattress that creaked pathetically whenever I turned over. Justin brought me some sausages our grandmother had made herself. I held the insulated container and slowly walked back. The streetlights on both sides were too old and didn't light the path well. It was making me see things. It was as if I saw Adrian, leaning against a black car, the cuffs of his black shirt rolled up to his wrists. A point of fire at his fingertips, glowing and fading. Chapter 23. In the apartment, Adrian sat sprawled on the sofa. His voice was quiet and calm. Changed your university choices, changed your number, played the vanishing act. You even gave up the shares. I sat beside him anxious. I bit my dry lip and said in a low voice, "Those are Ashworth family shares. They don't belong to me. Isn't this what you wanted?" Adrian sat up straight, thinking it over seriously. He nodded in agreement. Then he threw a file onto the coffee table. His tone was all business. "Since you want to cut ties with the Ashworth family, we should at least settle the accounts properly." I opened the file, confused. It was an itemized bill for all my misdeeds over the years. Gambling on horses, buying cars, extravagant tips, the cost of cleaning up my messes. It was a long, dense list, and there was even a hefty fee for emotional damages. It all added up to the final string of numbers. I sucked in a sharp breath. So many zeros. I hadn't seen that many zeros outside of a celebrity's bank account. 10 of me bundled up and sold wouldn't be enough to pay it back. "Adrian, you're ruthless." My vision went black. Adrian stood up, looming over me. His hand unbuckled his belt. He slid it out bit by bit. A cold smile touched his lips. "I'll show you how you're going to pay it back." Chapter 24. I was wrapped, soaking wet, in a soft bathrobe. A herd of alpacas stampeded through my mind, raising clouds of dust. My CPU had been trampled and force reformatted. Adrian actually did. Had physics cease to exist? Did the laws of biology collapse? And was Newton dead? Adrian was shirtless. His physique was impressive. His hands slid under the hem of my robe. So hot. He pressed down on the teeth marks he'd left on my inner thigh. I curled my legs up sharply, turning red as a shrimp from head to toe. "We're brothers," I stammered. Adrian let out a cold laugh, a storm gathering in his eyes. "Baby, you're the one who drew the line." Adrian knelt on the bed, the muscles in his legs forming a beautiful curve. His hand gripped my chin forcefully, as I stared in terror. He ripped off the towel tied around his waist. "Now it's your turn, baby. Open your mouth." My tears fell like a broken string of pearls. Drip, drip, drip. Adrian was such a bully. Chapter 25. I came down with a fever. Half from shock, half from fear. In a half-dreaming state, I heard someone open the door and come in. It was Adrian. He placed a hand on my forehead to check my temperature. He gently wiped me down with a warm towel. After quietly taking care of everything, he didn't leave. I could feel him hovering over me. Then a pair of lips pressed against the side of my ear. My heart trembled. I didn't dare to wake up. I don't know how much time passed. He began to talk to himself. "I am a liar. I lied to you, and I lied to myself. Growing up, I had nothing, but you had everything. Everyone liked you, even that old fool Charles Ashworth. Why were you so happy every day? So happy it made people jealous, so beautiful it made people want to destroy you. So I started to lie to you. But Jules, why did you come to save me on the mountain that day? You cried so hard. No one had ever been scared for me, and no one had ever cried for me. It was such a strange feeling. I could have kept lying forever, but you. Since you saved me, why couldn't you keep saving me? Why did you have to run away? Do you know how scared I was when I couldn't find you? I couldn't sleep at night, afraid something had happened to you, afraid you'd met someone bad, afraid you didn't want me anymore. Whether you fear me or hate me, you're never getting rid of me in this lifetime." A long sigh. My heart twisted into a knot. He was the one who bullied me, so why did he sound so pathetic? If I had the courage to wake up, to look at Adrian, I would have seen it. He was like a patient, restrained hunter, laying bait, waiting for his soft-hearted prey to take it. Chapter 26. Adrian came on strong. He completely fried my brain. But then he stopped showing up. Only a steady stream of anonymous packages arrived. Keys to the apartment, boxes of pastries, scarves and hats, and even a share transfer agreement, just before the holiday break. I received a call from Adrian. His voice was hoarse, punctuated by coughs. He sounded terrible. "Jules, when does your break start? I'll come pick you up. Let's go home together, okay?" I looked down, scuffing the snow into a mess. My hand holding the phone tightened slightly. I promised Justin I'd go back with him to spend the new year with our grandmother. There was a moment of silence. Adrian's voice came through the receiver. Okay, go ahead, have fun. Chapter 27, After Dinner. Grandma went to bed early, leaving just Justin and me to stay up for the New Year's countdown. He saw that my mind was elsewhere and sent me to my room to rest too. I looked out the window at the vast expanse of snow. It was always snowing heavily here. Not like the snow back south, so thin yet so memorable. Suddenly I was craving sweet soup. The system appeared out of nowhere. If you want to eat, just order takeout. System, just do what you want to do. If you suddenly drop dead after leaving the house, you won't even have time for regrets. I grumbled internally, are you trying to curse me? The system sounded as if its job was done. Mission accomplished. You'll have to walk the rest of the way on your own. Farewell, Julian I. Forrest. In kindergarten, all my classmates had 3 character names. It was cool, so I chose the character with the simplest strokes. And secretly added it to my own name, from Julian Forrest to Julian I. Forrest. Chapter 28, I squatted by the door. After a while, I sat down. I had made such a clean break last time that even my fingerprint had been erased from the system. I leaned against the door and pulled my scarf tighter. Adrian returned home under the cover of darkness. The chill clinging to him was colder than the winter wind, but the next second, his footsteps stopped. His broad shoulders trembled uncontrollably. He felt his heart swell rapidly, leaving no room for anything else. A joy that emanated from his very bones made him want to laugh out loud. So good, so obedient. You came back all by yourself. Adrian walked forward. Each step was light. He didn't want to scare the person before him. He slowly knelt, his gaze burning as he looked at the face half buried in its knees. A satisfied smile spread across his lips. Welcome home, my darling. Chapter 29. When I woke up, I was in Adrian's arms. He was carrying me like a child, step by step up the stairs. I wrapped my arms around his shoulders and buried my face in his neck. I couldn't get in, I said groggily. The fingerprint was deleted. Adrian tightened his arms. He turned his head and kissed my temple with affectionate indulgence. It's okay, we'll register a new one. Chapter 30. Extra, the system. After I died, I became a system, looking at the innocent 18-year-old face of my other self. Well, this kid is luckier than I was. At least he didn't have to tear everything apart with Adrian, fight to the bitter end, and die without even knowing why. But what kind of crazy, chaotic development was this? This is too indecent to watch actually. What I never told the kid was, the affection meter really did bug out. There was a delay. On the night he got drunk, this world's Adrian's affection level skyrocketed. 0, 19, 39, 69, 89, 99. Sigh, whatever. Better to get screwed than get destroyed. What's love and what isn't? As long as it's real, I can accept it. That night, I knew it was time for me to leave, to end my life full of deception. I just never expected that I would wake up again. It turns out I didn't die. Back then I was set up, lost everything I owned, and was saddled with enormous debt. The debt collectors broke my left leg and left me in a filthy alley. As I lay there dying, I saw Adrian's back as he turned and walked away without hesitation. When I woke up again, I had become the system. It seems now. Adrian did save my pathetic life after all. After being entangled with him for half my life, I ended up with nothing, and a crippled leg. But looking back at everything, I've made my peace with it. Watching the car window roll down, looking at Adrian's face, I can now hold a gas pump and say with a calm smile, "Sir, need a fill up." Chapter 31. Extra. The other Adrian, he's awake. I looked at the message from my subordinate. He was in a coma for a year and a half. He woke up today. I replied, keep an eye on him, but my fingers tapped on the desk as I thought, what's the point of keeping an eye on him? He has nothing left, following my subordinate's report. I went to the most dilapidated old district on the outskirts of the city. He had rented a ground-floor garage there. He went out every day to do odd jobs, in his free time. He would squat under a tree and watch the old men play chess. The old men were red-faced, arguing about taking back a move. He enjoyed the drama, fanning himself with a cheap plastic fan, his eyes curved into crescents as he smiled. That face, he was born with good looks. No one who saw him could dislike him. Even that old fool Charles Ashworth protected him so fiercely, leaving behind plenty of measures to restrain me before he died. Sometimes I think, maybe his true nature is just this. Warm and harmless. For someone like that to enter a place as filthy as the Ashworth family, it was such an eyesore. All those years of his debauchery, the hatred and desire, they were all things I forced out of him, after watching the old men argue. He slowly went to collect his laundry. The legs under his shorts were long, slender, and pale. If you looked closely, you could see his left leg was a little thinner than his right. If he walked too fast, he would limp. He always wobbled when he stood on his toes. One visit led to a second, a third, a fourth. I never got tired of it until he ran out furious. He slammed his fists on my car window. "Adrian, what the fuck is wrong with you?" he cursed. "Why are you spying on me all day? What more do you want from me? I'm warning you, if you come back again, I'll take a sledgehammer to your car." He was so angry his face was red, more striking than the sunset behind him. I let out a soft laugh and stubbed out the cigarette between my fingers. I slowly pushed the car door open. Yes, I think there really is something wrong with me.